Hello and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. This is part 2 in our Celestial Butterfly series, and in this video we're going to be going ahead and finishing out more planets and adding in a little bit more to their galaxy background part. If you want to follow along with traditional materials, check out part 1 in this series, where I have a list of all the paint, canvas, and brushes that I use. So the app that we're using is Infinite Painter for Android, and I'm going to go ahead and finish working on this planet here. And I don't want it to look real bright, so I'm using the cloudy brush to sort of fog it out and make it look like it's got a cloud of hydrogen particles and nebula around it, just because I thought that it looked a little too bright. And so here I want to add another planet, and I think this is Uranus, probably, because I think it has the sideways rotation. And so anyway, I like the colors in it, even if it's not, it may be one of the moons, I can't remember, but anyway, and it's got a little ring around it. And so like I said before in part 1, I have gotten all these photos from NASA. The NASA photos are all public domain and royalty free, so you can get the NASA photos from their website, and also Pixabay has them on their website as well. And so I really like this pretty blue color, and if you're following along traditionally, you could probably use ultramarine blue with a touch of phthalo blue in it perhaps, or else add a little bit of phthalo yellow green to it, just something that gives it a turquoise look. And then you can go ahead and use a alizarin crimson with a lot of cadmium, or yeah, you can throw in a little bit of cadmium orange if you want to, or just add a lot of white acrylic gesso. And so here I'm using the guides to make the rings around the planet, and also I use the guide to make the planet. And as I said in part 1, you can use a bottle cap or something to make the original round shape of the planet. And then you could use a compass or something that has a curved edge. You might get one of those French curve guides that you buy. You can buy those in art stores and use it also to make the elliptical ring around this planet. And so I'm just kind of trying to work on that, and it's not exactly right. So I opened the guide again, and then here I'm making it better and making it a little bit more elliptical, and the ring is going to be bigger than the photo reference that I have, but that doesn't matter because we're just trying to do a fantasy painting. We're not trying to do anything accurate. We're not trying to draw any accurate slides or anything for a scientific presentation. We're just having fun, and we're doing a little fantasy painting here with planets and galaxies and all kinds of neat stuff. So I just want to go ahead and add a little bit of some cloudiness to cover over that planet too, just to make it not so bright. And I decided to use a light pink color for that. And if you're following along traditionally, you can use your number 8 bristle brush and use a dry brush technique where you don't use very much paint and you just lightly brush the paint over the surface, and it gives it a transparent look. And of course you have to make sure that the planet underneath is dry. And if you're doing this with oils, you have to let each layer dry before you do that sort of a technique. And then here I want to go ahead and paint a orange planet, or I think this is actually, I'm not sure which one this is, but anyway, I just wanted to go ahead and I like the look of it. So I'm adding a little bit of rusty color here. And you can use the filbert brush in Infinite Painter or one of the old oils. We just want kind of a textured look and a rusty look. And you would use cadmium orange for that. Maybe throw in some burnt sienna if you're following along. Traditionally, you can use your number 3 round brush. You just kind of want a rough look for it. And then here I wanted to do Jupiter because it has the great red spot on it, which is, they say, an actual storm is what that is. But anyway, it makes a really neat look on it. So kind of wanted to do Jupiter here. And so you can take your number 4 flat brush if you're following along traditionally and just make kind of streaks inside a circle here. And that's what I'm doing here on Infinite Painter, just making some lines. And then I'm going to go ahead and blend them all together. And I put a little dot there for the great red spot that's on it. And then here I'm smudging them all together. I want to just go ahead and smear them together, but try to keep it within the circle. And I want them to look horizontal though, because I like the neat striped look that Jupiter has. So I'm trying to smudge these lines together but still stay within the look of a planet. And so I'm adding some orange and some light blue stripes and some brown, and I'm just trying to kind of keep the edge sort of round. And of course I'm having a little bit of difficulty, so I went ahead and just used the guide. And if you're following along traditionally, just get the original bottle cap that you used and go around it again with some blue paint. And that's what I'm doing here, using a light blue or light purple color. And if you're following along traditionally, you would use ultramarine blue and add a touch of dioxazine purple into it with lots of white acrylic gesso, and that should kind of give you that color. Now I'm not too worried about getting it to look exactly like Jupiter. I just want kind of the suggestion of a planet like that, because again, we're just doing a fantasy painting. We're just having a little bit of fun here. So I want to go ahead and add a little bit more of the stripes back into it. And I'm smudging them around and keeping the little red spot in there because that just makes it look really neat. And still trying to stay within the sides of the round circle. And I put this one in the corner of the picture as well as an eye stopper to keep the viewer's eye from wandering off the painting. And I think that you can put more planets in here if you want to. You can add a whole bunch more if you want to go ahead. You can put 6 or 7 more planets in there. But because we're going to have some big transparent looking butterflies floating around in it, I just decided that I didn't want a whole lot of planets, but just enough to give the suggestion that it's a galaxy and that these are celestial looking butterflies, and just kind of a suggestion of a galaxy. And here I'm just trying to straighten out the edges again. They got a little bit jagged, and you want to try to make them look a little bit rounder. And if you're doing this traditionally, you would use some of maybe the background color over it a little. It's harder when you're doing this traditionally. This is one of the nice things about doing digital. If you put it on a separate layer, make sure that you put it on a separate layer. And then here I'm using the filbert brush, and I just wanted to punch up the stars a little bit and make some of them look brighter, and maybe that they're actually ellipse galaxies. Ellipse galaxies usually are just kind of a brighter star, and and so they just kind of show up as a brighter star. So I'm just trying to go in and pick a few places next to the planets and the nebulas, and maybe through the nebulas, and I'm using a pretty bright white color, and you could use, if you're following traditionally, cadmium yellow light with white acrylic gesso, and you can use your number 3 round or the script brush, and you just want to go ahead and add a little bit of some rays coming off of the stars, you know, just kind of make a little X, sort of, and then draw a line through it. You don't want to make them great big, but you just kind of want to give it the look of some brighter stars. And that'll just kind of add more to your painting there and make it more interesting. And then if you want to, you can go ahead and add a little bit more to your nebulas, and you can put some of the stars in your nebulas, and that will make them look more transparent as well. And I'm just adding a little bit of some light blue cloudy looking dots to make the elliptical galaxies that would be way far off there, and kind of smudge them a little bit too while you're doing this. And if you're doing it traditionally, just touch it with a paper towel, just kind of smudge it and just give it kind of a softer look, and that just kind of adds a little bit more depth and a little bit more interest to your painting. So this is the end of Celestial Butterflies Part 2, and in Part 3 we're going to go ahead and start painting on the butterflies, because we've pretty much got the background and the galaxy done. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will catch you later.